Hello, it's Debbie Gilbert. I am the host of the Business Awards show, and I'm also the founder of the Best SME Awards and the Best Business Women Awards. And today, my guest is someone who understands that a great brand is so much more than a logo. It's about creating meaningful connections, telling authentic stories, and building businesses that truly resonate with their audience. So I'm delighted today to welcome Vaishali Shah, founder and creative director of Creative ID. She is a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Marketing, an award-winning entrepreneur, and an international branding and marketing consultant. Vaishali has spent more than 25 years helping businesses unlock their potential through strategic branding, marketing, and culturally inclusive design. She's based between London and Dubai, and she's worked with clients ranging from Michelin star chefs, international hotel groups, to entrepreneurs, creatives, and lifestyle brands. And alongside running Creative ID, Vaishali also founded the award-winning luxury stationery brand Ananya Cards. She is also a judge for the Wedding Industry Awards. So, a very, very busy lady. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about her business journey and her experiences judging the Wedding Industry Awards. So, welcome, Vaishali.
Thank you so much, Debbie. It's such a pleasure to be here.
And so, at the moment, you're in Dubai, I believe.
Correct, I am.
Nice and warm, I'm sure.
Yes.
We're experiencing the heat wave here in the UK. And as I said to somebody the other day, how do you think businesses cope in Dubai? They get on with it.
Yes, I think AC is my best friend here.
So let's start at the beginning. 25 years ago when you set up Creative ID. So what led you into the path of branding and marketing?
So I think this to start is I come from an entrepreneurial family. My family business is 103 years old. So I guess I always knew I wanted to be
Mm.
an entrepreneur from discussions I had at the breakfast table from a young age. So I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. At that point, obviously, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but at university, I studied international management and French. I then took the Chartered Institute of Marketing diploma, and I felt that there was an opportunity for branding for smaller businesses starting out as a solopreneur, as a small business. I felt that branding, I think, had the perception that it was only for the big brands, the big companies with the big budgets, and actually, I wanted to show that through smaller businesses, effective branding is still important. So that's why I went down the kind of branding and marketing role. So marketing is what I studied, and then branding, the two disciplines work nicely together.
So how long have you actually worked for yourself as opposed to working for a company, or have you always worked for yourself?
No, I thought it was important to get outside knowledge and outside experience before setting up my business. So I've run the business for 26 years. So last year celebrating my 25th year. And before that, I worked 4 to 5 years outside before setting up the business. And that was important, that outside real life world as well.
So, and alongside this, you launched this luxury card brand. Talk us through the purpose of that and what market that serves, because it's quite an interesting story, I think.
Yes, thank you. So actually, it started, as many businesses do, by chance. My
Mm,
cousin asked me to design her wedding stationery. And
hmm
so I thought, okay, yes, I'll do that. I haven't designed wedding stationery before, but as a designer, as a creative, I thought, let me do this. So I designed the stationery, gifted it to her, didn't put my name on the back or anything. It was it was a personalized stationery suite for her. At the end of the reception, three people came up to me and said, we heard that you designed the stationery. We're getting married soon. Could you design our stationery? Because all her friends were,
mm.
similar age. So I thought, oh, okay. Then with my business hat on, I thought, well, why not? Let me do some research. So for 6 months, I did research and I saw that there was a gap in the market. And that's why I thought, well, let me set up this business for high end, culturally inclusive wedding and event stationery. And so that's why I set up the business. So it was spotting a gap in the market. The skills lent themselves is just rather than being creating designs for a corporate or for a founder, I'm now creating stationery for a couple. And so that's why I set up Ananya Cards, set it up as a separate business because the target audience was different. And so that's why I set it up. But I think that's often I hear entrepreneur stories, spotting a gap in the market, something that wasn't working, something that was missing, and they created that.
And you've built that by reputation, haven't you? I mean, this is word of mouth. This is people receiving these invitations and thinking this looks outstanding, and I need to speak to the person who designed this. Is that not how it's gone?
Exactly. And stationery, especially for your wedding, it's so personal.
Mm.
This is your biggest day, and it's very personal. So recommendations, referrals have been key. Word of mouth has been really important for this business, and keeping that quality, keeping the values consistent over the years has been really important for me.
Because I was sort of curious to understand in a world where now we're getting digital invitations to weddings, and everything's kind of also going down the AI route, how you've managed to sustain this. Is it because there's still this sort of broad range of people that get invited to a wedding, age range wise, and obviously many weddings that are inviting people globally, not just locally? Do you think that's how it's kind of maintained its presence in the marketplace, sending a personalized invitation?
I think in this digital world, print, tactile, holding
Mm,
something in your hand has become more important.
mm,
So I think that's really important. But also, as a business owner, I've had to evolve the business. So I
mm,
now do create digital stationery. I do create digital save the dates, digital invitations because guest lists are getting larger. Guests are international, as you said, for the environment, lots of reasons, budget, there's lots of reasons. So I have, although as a purist print girl, I have evolved the business and do create digital stationery. And then, of course, on the day, that's when you have your beautiful printed menus, printed signage, your thank you cards,
mm,
order of service, all the rest of the stationery. And same for corporates as well.
mm.
I can sometimes be designing a beautiful printed invitation and then the stationery for the event, or it can be a digital invitation and then the printed. So it's often a hybrid now.
Yeah, so you're doing everything. It's so that it's all congruent, everything, presumably from the place cards to the table plans to even probably the table numbers could be branded with whatever design that the corporate or the bride and groom have chosen. So yeah, it sounds amazing. Sounds absolutely amazing. And that obviously led you to enter wedding awards with your stationery products. So talk me through your early days with winning awards, and then we'll talk about judging. But I'm interested to understand what made you enter the stationery into awards in the first place.
Yes. So about 10 years into the business, I decided to enter my first award, which was the British Asian Wedding Awards. I was a finalist, I didn't win, but I thought, let me try the year after. And the year after, I did win. And the reason for entering it was really kind of multifold, was a bit of a validation
Mm,
that what I'm doing is kind of recognized by independent judging panel. For me, when we could talk about judging, but it's about not a popularity contest, but actually when there is a strong, respected judging panel who are making the decision. For me, that's really important. So I wanted to do that and to enter the award. And as I said, I entered it the second year and won it. And then this year, I entered the UK Weddings and Honeymoons Award earlier this year, and I won that. And again, I was really happy. And you may think, well, 20 years in, why does she need an award? But actually, it was validation, but also it was for me to see that what I'm doing 20 years in is still
mm,
making a difference. It's still relevant, it's still respected, and I'm still on the right path. So I think that was also important, kind of in this landmark milestone 20th year, for me to do that.
mm,
And I think also it's about celebrating where we've gone, what we've achieved, because I think certainly as a founder, as an entrepreneur, we're just rushing for the next task. There's so many things to do, but actually, this gives you that time to sit and to reflect and actually see what you've achieved. if you have a team, which I have a team, it's also celebrating that moment with the team. It may be myself that attends the awards ceremony, but I have a team behind me and they get part of that. And I really like to do that. And they have said to me, even when somebody was applying for a job, and she said, "Oh, I saw award winning," and I thought, "Oh, I want to work for this company." So I think it gives that credibility as well, and that recognition. But I also say that entering an award, it's not just to win. I think it's also important to articulate what you do. And working with founders, I often find that they struggle with articulating what they do. You know, what is their superpower? What
Mm.
makes them distinctly different? What makes them you? And I think by submitting an application form for an award, you really think some questions you can answer quickly, straight away, but actually, deliberately, the questions are food for thought and it lets you think about your business. It lets you articulate it because it's a stranger on the judging panel. And how are they going to receive and interpret what you've written? So I think it's not just a matter of winning. I think by taking part, you've also helped yourself as a business person and kind of clarifying your message and everything that brings.
So what category did you win? What was it called? Can you
Uh,
remember?
it was wedding stationery.
They actually have a wedding
Yes,
stationery
yes,
category. That's
yes.
interesting. So,
Which not all places
yeah,
have wedding stationery.
no.
Yes.
So is it quite a competitive market that you're in with wedding stationery?
It's probably, if I'm honest, it's not as competitive as something like photography,
Mm,
hair and makeup. I think
mm.
those would be a lot more competitive. But there are, there's enough of us competing. So yes.
And what do you deliver to your clients that makes you stand out? And how do you get those all important recommendations afterwards from the bride and grooms to their friends and family?
I think for me, I'm all about the details. I'm obsessed with details. I don't give you a white envelope. There'll be printing on the envelope. You open the envelope, there'll be a lining inside or some print. And then creating that consistent look and feel across all the touch points, across all the stationery items. That's really important for me. And I think also in this kind of diverse world that we live in, I very much play on the personality of the couple and
Mm,
their cultural backgrounds. I'm very kind of culturally conscious. So there's an increase in multicultural weddings, for example, where we may be combining two or more cultures. And that's something that I want to listen to the couple and their story. I ask them lots of questions. And often if they're kind of shopping around, they'll say, "Oh, we haven't been asked that before. Oh,
mm.
that's interesting. So you'd like to know what my favorite flower is, where he proposed, what customs are important to my parents and my grandparents." And so I like to build that story. And just like I
Mm.
do with Creative ID, my branding business, again for Ananya Cards, it's that storytelling. And I think that's what's important because I would like, whether it's a couple or a corporate, when a guest is in that room, for them to realize that, wow, that's so them, or that's so on brand for this company. And I think that's where I kind of differentiate myself. I'm very curious as a person, and I want to really kind of portray, reflect the couple, the corporate, the milestone birthday, all of that into the stationery.
So you actually apply this level of forensic across just the corporates you work with, as well as bride and grooms. That's really interesting because bride and grooms are very much the consumer market, and then obviously your corporate is your B2B. So you are literally applying that real high level of detail to both types of client to really get under the bonnet of exactly what makes this business tick or what makes the bride and groom, what has created their relationship and all of the stuff behind the scenes. So I think that's really interesting that you're doing that because we always talk about the fact, oh, B2C is very different from B2B, but actually you're proof that you can apply the same strategies to both.
I agree. I agree. And it's a question that I get asked quite a lot on podcasts is, "Oh, you have two businesses, they're so different." But actually, they're not that
No,
different
no.
because they still have brand Vaishali running through it, and my guiding principles and my ethos and my thread and my attention to details and values. So actually, they're not that dissimilar. And I think it is important. There's so much competition out there. So actually, what are we doing to make ourselves stand out? And awards is something that helps give us that external recognition. But what is it that we're doing to make ourselves different? I think that's the kind of starting point. Whether when I write a post on LinkedIn, am I adding anything to the am I adding anything to the reader's life when I write this post, or is it just writing for the sake of it? So I think it's sometimes good to ask ourselves that question.
And how do you stay up to date with the latest trends in the design world? I mean, are you kind of out there looking around all the time at different things to get inspiration, or are you part of design groups? I mean, how are you keeping up to date with what's going on out there?
It's a great question, Debbie. I try to keep as up to date as possible, finger on the pulse, looking at what the trends are for the upcoming year. I think that's important. But it's also who you surround yourself with. So I have deliberately taken on younger team members that
Brilliant.
so one of my key design, in fact, two of my key designers got married. And so I got real insight into how they were planning their wedding, what they were looking for in their stationery. I joined TikTok a couple of years ago, which you would think, wow, 26 years in business, is she on TikTok? But actually that came through my team member. And so we set up TikTok, which is working well for our couple. So I think that's important, who you surround yourself with, whether that's your immediate
Mhm.
team or whether that's, as you said, whether it's groups that you're in, whether it's LinkedIn groups, Facebook groups,
Mhm.
any kind of groups or events that you attend, what you read, how, what we're consuming. So I think, as I said, being someone curious, I do try and take an interest because I myself am interested in it. It's not
Mm.
homework; it's something that I enjoy. So that's what I'm doing, and I think it's important. I'm aware of trends, but I also don't design to be trendy or to be on trend. I design, if it's stationery, for my couple, what makes sense for them. So that in 10 years' time, they'll look back at their invitations and still fall in love with them rather than thinking like, oh my gosh, that looks so dated. I wanted to represent them and be, timeless.
Do you ever get a situation though where they suggest something and you're thinking, oh gosh, how am I going to bring that to life? Or do you kind of immediately know the path you're going to take with something?
No, I have. I have for both businesses, for branding, when a client says this is what we have in mind. But I feel that my role is to educate. So if
Mm,
it's a branding proposition, I will do what the client has asked, but I
mm,
will also give my interpretation that this is what you've told me you want your logo to represent. I've done this, but this is what I feel. And sometimes it's a compromise between both views. And same for the stationery as well. They may say something, or I mean, what often happens, Debbie, is someone will look at a bride, will look at Pinterest, and then take three or
mm,
four designs and say, "We love these.
mm,
Create something like this." But the designs are so different. You can't put the four together. It's going to look a hodgepodge. You can't put the four together. So that's my role to say, okay, what is it that you like through all four? Is there a thread that runs through it? So let's use that thread. Or, which is often the case, they are so different. So let's pick one or the other, or I can
mm,
show you an option in one or the other, but really let's not combine them. And I think that's
mm.
a mistake that couples make, that they just want everything, but it doesn't work. So as a kind of educator, I do that. And I have also turned business away. If I feel I'm not the right fit, I have turned business away and said, look, I think you're better. I'm going with somebody else because my aesthetic is different. So I think you should go to someone else.
Yeah, sometimes we just have to be brave as entrepreneurs and say, look, this client isn't a good fit for us, and pack them off to somebody else that can help them. So when businesses come to you and they feel that their brand is quite stale, maybe a bit outdated, um, how do you work with them to refresh or to redesign that? I mean, is that quite a lengthy process or can that be done relatively quickly? And where do you begin with that?
So it all depends. I have clients that come to me for like a power up hour or a series, and then we will go through a specific branding challenge and we will discuss that. Otherwise, clients will come to me and say we want a refresh, which is kind of tweaking their existing brand, or we want a rebrand, a complete overhaul, a complete makeover, which will then take around 4 to 6 weeks, where
Mm,
it is really in detail. I will send them a questionnaire. I will ask, as I said, lots of questions and really understand where they are today, but also where they are planning to go? What are their future plans?
Mm,
Because as much as I'd love the business, a good logo stands the test of time. So
mm,
I don't want a client to come to me today and then a year later say, oh, Vaishali, the logo's not working because we've now done A, B, and C. So I try and ask them for them to think, what are their future plans? Are they planning to go international? Are they planning to go more luxury and more premium, high end? What is it that's in their thinking so that I can design something to help future proof them so that they're not coming back to me a year later and having to spend again. So
mm,
it's asking those questions, and often if a client is understandably, when somebody starts out in business, funds are tight, so they may do a DIY logo, and now is the time, 3 5 years later it's looking outdated, so then they'll come to me and that's what I'll work on with them. There may be
mm.
certain things they may say that, look, Vaishali, I want to keep green because I'm known for green and I want to keep green. That's absolutely fine, but now let's just make it relevant for now and for the future.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And you do networking because that's where we met. So, how important has that been to the growth of your business?
Networking is really important. I'd say the last maybe 7 years been really important. At the beginning, it was all word of mouth, it was all
Mm,
referrals. And then I realized that I'd kind of tapped all my contacts and I needed to do more. I needed to do more than just word of mouth, and the team grew, the business grew. So that's where networking really came in, whether that's in person, whether it's online networking. And what I always say to my clients when I'm helping them on their marketing strategies, it's not just networking for the sake of networking, it's then nurturing those relationships, it's
mm,
continuing those relationships. Why do I have clients that have been with me for all 26 years of the business? Why do I have many clients that have been with me 15 years plus? It's because I'd like to think it's because I've nurtured those relationships. I've kept in touch with them. I haven't looked at it as just a transaction. There's periods in between where nothing's happening, but I've still kept in touch with them. And I think that's the key to networking. I love networking now. I think it's, if you're in the right groups, I think
mm.
it's a good way to meet new people and then
Yeah,
build on that.
we wouldn't have met otherwise, would
Exactly. I wouldn't be here today.
we? So, you went from being an award-winning business to actually being on the other side and being a judge. So, how did that come about, and what's the experience been like for you being a judge for the Wedding Industry Awards?
It's been really good. So I'm a stationery judge for the Wedding Industry Awards, TWIA, and I was approached by the founder to be a judge maybe 6 years ago, and it was great. I was very flattered, but I did. I'm going to be sharing the story now. I did actually go back to the founder and said, I don't see diversity in your judging panel. So
Mm,
before I say yes, I want to see what you're going to do about that, because I don't want to be the token Indian girl, or the Indian person there, token or not token, but I want it to be
mm,
diverse because I'm sure that the businesses that will be putting themselves forward for the wedding industry are also diverse.
mm,
And so I want to see that. So before I give my answer, could I give you an answer like in 3 months' time? Because I knew I wanted to see what was happening. And I think it was a little taken aback, because I'm sure people say yes straight away. Oh, yes, I'll be a judge. And said, no, you're very right. You're very right. It's something on
mm.
my mind. It's something on my mind, and it's something that I'm addressing. Sounds like fantastic. And I saw that the judging panel was, more diverse. I could see, because he was mentioning who was involved. Just talking to my friends in the wedding industry world. Have you been asked? Have you been asked? And I thought, okay, no, this looks good. So I said yes, and I think I've completed 5 years worth of judging, and I'll be judging next year. And I like this award, this platform, because we are judges. It's not a popularity contest,
Mm.
and I think that's what's important. Same as when I won my award, it's a respected the judges are handpicked, rather than just a bride saying, oh, we like you, or asking friends and family to vote for you. I think
Because
that's what's important.
Yeah, because there are in the wedding industry, I think it's a very different um, industry in the awards space to business awards. because there are a lot of wedding industry awards which are voting, is there not? Where they're expected to get votes for the brides and grooms and the families. And I always think this is a list building exercise for the organisers because if they're a magazine or they're, they want to grow their list, and of course the obvious way to do that is to have voting for their awards, the wedding awards. So I think it's great that these awards that you're judging are judged on merit, not on number of votes.
Correct. And that was important to me. So yes, the couples have sorry, not couples, the businesses have got their couples to vote, but that's not the deciding factor.
No.
For me, it's reading everything. There's
Mm.
certain questions. I mean, you'll be surprised, Debbie, some people don't even answer all the questions.
Mm.
So
No, I
so
wouldn't be
it's look,
surprised.
yeah, okay, well, I was surprised as that you're entering, and why haven't you completed the questions? So it's reading the questions. I also look, because they include their social media channels, so I will look at their social media channels. Have they included a video so you see their personality? Because it's not about one brilliant moment, one brilliant venue that they've
Mm.
worked for. For me, it's that consistency. What have they achieved in that year? How have they overcome challenges?
Mm.
All of that, I think that for me is what's important, that consistency, not that one hit wonder, but really somebody that deserves to win an award.
And I just want to backtrack a bit about the diversity on judging panels that you mentioned, because it was something that when I set up my awards 12 years ago, I was really conscious of that we needed representation across all of the ethnic groups here. Um, and I have had very positive comments on that there is a true diversity across my judging panel. I just really wanted to hear from you why you think that's so important.
Because I want to see myself
Yeah.
represented. As a proud British Indian, I
Hmm.
want to see that there are other businesses or that are taking part, other business owners that are winning those awards. And that's important for me. I want to see myself represented. I want to see that the panel that they've got are people that look like me. And yeah,
Yeah.
I want to feel that I want to feel
Yeah.
represented because we are in London.
Mm.
We are in the UK. So it is a beautiful melting pot of countries,
Mm.
cultures, faiths. That's what I do in my own work. And I want to see that represented.
Yeah. I do think that's so important. And I've looked at judging panels for some awards and thought there is not one other that's just a sea of either white middle-aged men
Yeah,
or white
very true.
females. And it's
Very,
just
very
not
true.
representative of the country that we live in now. And it should be. So I really wanted to backtrack on that because I think it's an important point to raise. It's not talked about enough that diversity is so, so important. Um, so when you're judging all of these entries, aside from the fact people filling in the questions, because bugbear of ours as well, that people don't fill it in properly, but the ones that do fill it in properly, what makes that sort of hairs on the back of your neck stand on end and you think, oh my goodness, this is amazing? What is it that you're looking for that really makes you feel that this is a business that should be rewarded?
So certainly the visuals, the stationery that I see that I think, oh
Mm.
wow, that's interesting because you know what, they've taken a technique that's
Mm.
quite difficult to do, or they've put two colors that you would never think would go together, but actually they've done that. I'm a sucker for finishing touches and
Mm.
details. So when I see that it's not just come back from the printer, but they've actually then done something to make it personal for the couple, I love that. And I love it also when they share a video because you actually see that
Mm.
personality, you see their setup, you see, I've had somebody, she's got her daughter in the video and said, I've called the business after my daughter. My daughter is my why. And you really kind of buy
Mm.
into that, and she's doing the work, and and you just think, oh, that's nice. She shared the story. You resonate with that. So those are the kind of
Mm.
things. If there is a video category, I'm surprised at how few people actually do um do a video, share a video. And as I said, I look at the social media as well because it's no point just having a fantastic application form if your website's rubbish or there's error 404 messages or it's not up to date or you haven't posted on LinkedIn for 2 years. Well, For
Mm.
me, if your business is going to be recognized by a prestigious award, then really for me, it should be all those touch points, should be all of those things that you were looking at.
Yeah, it does surprise me the number of people that send in their entry and their links don't work or their social media hasn't been updated for 2 years. And it's just like, really? Why would you think that you're going to win an award if that's the level that you're at, on a playing field? So 20 years in, or 25 years in, we'll sort of finish up really by talking about what's the plans? Where do you see your business going over the next few years? Because there is so much happening, isn't there, in the business world at the moment? So what's your sort of plans for the next 5 years?
So for me, it's still continuing to grow in the UK and the UAE, but my eyes are on the US. My
Ah,
eyes are on the US. Yes. Haven't done much with it for both businesses. Haven't done much with it, but I want to look at that area because I have had couples from there. I have had corporate clients for the branding business, but I want to look at that area more. And sustainability is really important to me.
mm,
So for every stationery order, I plant a tree. For every stationery order, I give 10%. Since day one, I give 10% of profits back to charity. So for making a difference to the
mm,
community, to the planet is really important. So I want to see in the next 5 years what else I can do, how I can take
mm.
that further. That's important. And then also just being aware of what's going on. As you mentioned, there's AI, um, there's, all the kind of technological changes, but I feel that that human connection is not going to disappear. I think it's going to be even more important. So working within this tech world, and I love tech, but within this tech world, but how can I really deliver to my clients, to my corporates, to my founders something that is different but and has that human touch that they feel, you know what, it was worth investing with her because
Mm.
she's given me something different that AI couldn't give me. And I
Yeah.
think that is going to be really interesting. Those businesses that can combine tech but keep that human side, that human element, I think that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, that's a really good point to end on today. So, thank you for joining me. I shall continue to watch your business progress, I'm sure. And if you've been listening to today's episode, we will make sure Vaishali's details are in the show notes. So, if you need stationery for your wedding, or you want a corporate brand refresh, or you need stationery for your corporate business for an event, then you can have her details to contact her company. So thank you for joining me today. I wish you success with the judging for the Wedding Industry Awards. And yeah, I'm hoping that you're going to enter the Best Business Women Awards next year. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Such a pleasure to be here. And I'd like to congratulate you for putting on these award shows because as a judge, I see the amount of work that goes
Mm.
in to actually organize the whole show. Big congratulations to you.
Yeah, thank you. It is like organising two large weddings every year. I'll
Yes,
say that to
exactly.
people. Anyway, thank you for joining me, Vishali. Have a lovely day.
Thank you very much, Debbie. Thank you.
Thank you.